Let's talk about narcissists and rock bottom. You see, regular life, when people are going through life and they get to a crisis, they get to a situation, sometimes it can be referred to as rock bottom. Now, it might be a CEO losing his entire company, or that company going bankrupt, or it could be a drunk who has a problem with alcohol and ends up running off the road and almost dying. Or you could have someone who's struggling with addictions for years, and all of a sudden they slowly start losing all of the people around them, all of their finances, their house, whatever it might be. And these moments, sometimes midlife crisis, sometimes rock bottom, these moments that happen end up bringing people to a place where they realize, hey, I need to evaluate everything that's going on in my life, and I need to change. I need to grow. I need to get better. I need to focus on something different than what I've been doing. And oftentimes it takes that introspection where someone is taking a look at, hey, this is the patterns that I have been doing. These are the cycles or the things that I have been seeing in my life that has brought me to this point, whether that's an addictive nature, whether that's a cheating cycle, whatever it might be. And they realize, hey, this is my rock bottom. And then at the point of rock bottom, there's normally an opportunity. There's an opportunity to either pivot and start to change and grow, or there's the opportunity to stay exactly there and just wallow in it and be frustrated and be disheartened because it's not getting any better. So when we talk about narcissism and we talk about rock bottom, what does that really mean in your mind? Because when I'm talking about rock bottom, I'm talking about a moment that's like a realization for someone where they're going to realize what's happening and they're going to change. They're going to pivot. They're going to turn to change to be someone else, to change to be better, to change to grow, to change the habits, the practice, the things that led them to that situation to lead them back out of it to a better and a full life. Now, if you've been around narcissists for a period of time, or if you've listened to the channel for a period of time, you know that's not typical of a narcissist. Like a narcissist actually admitting what's wrong, a narcissist actually admitting what's happened in the past, it doesn't really happen that much. So what does rock bottom really look like for a narcissist? What I'm going to tell you today is a little controversial because some people believe this, some people don't. My personal opinion, from what I've seen in talking with narcissists and talking with people who've dealt and been in the narcissistic abusive relationships, is that a narcissist doesn't have a rock bottom. You see, that rock bottom needs to be pivotal for that person to land there and realize, hey, there is nothing I can do to continue my old lifestyle. I have to change and become better. I have to change and take my life a different direction. I have to pivot where I am and focus on a new future, a new goal that's not going to lead me back to the same thing. And for a narcissist, we think in very cyclical terms. Like it's over and over. It's a new supply, then love, then discard, then a new supply, then love, then discard, then a new supply. And it keeps going over and over and over. And as a result, the narcissist doesn't really learn from the past. They just keep factoring their craft, trying to get better at lying, trying to get better at manipulation. And it just continues. It just perpetuates. And then when that moment happens, when they lose everything, when they get a divorce, when they lose the kids in a custody battle, when they lose and they have to go to jail because of rape or because of physical abuse and violence, you normally see a pivot that happens with the narcissist. Not in a good way, but in a victim way. You see what I said before? I don't think a narcissist has a rock bottom. I think a narcissist just changes to be the victim. See, in those moments, the narcissist will say whoa, this all happened to me. And without them acknowledging it, it happened because of them. It happened through their efforts or through their lack of efforts. And to acknowledge that, to admit hey, I caused this divorce. I caused me ruining this person's life. I caused this person being thrown in jail. I caused this person being thrown in the hospital. When a narcissist will come to that grips of actually seeing that, no. Have to change it. Have to twist the story. Have to manipulate what they see, what they hear, what you see, what you hear. Have to change the perception to whatever we need to do to get to the place where we are the victims. As a narcissist, I can't handle the truth because the truth is going to reveal me. The truth is going to show with vulnerable and honesty of who I am. And when I reveal that, when I show, hey, I'm a liar, I'm a cheater, I'm an adulterer, I'm a person that has hurt and abused people, when I start to come to terms with that, when I start to open up, that has to be shut down as fast and as quick as possible and moved on. So when I get to the place where I lose my job, where I almost lose my house, where my wife leaves me, and I'm sitting there thinking like, hey, this is rock bottom, then the narrative starts to switch. And it starts to turn. Well, I wouldn't be in this situation if so-and-so didn't say something. I wouldn't be in this situation if my wife would respect me more. I wouldn't be in this situation if my boss had just kept quiet. Like, I wouldn't be in this, and the thoughts come time and time again because it's a lot easier to switch to becoming a victim than it is to be vulnerable. And a narcissist will try to do everything they can to protect their image, to control their statue, and to not be vulnerable. So as a narcissist, that's my goal when I get those feelings, is how can I hide from them? How can I put them down? How can I make sure that if I'm wrong in this situation, I have to twist it, manipulate it, whatever I have to do, so I can get to the place where I'm the victim, then all eyes are back on me, but it's okay, because now I have that supply of like, oh man, she just didn't love me right. Like, she treated me awful. Like, she didn't do this, or, the work was like really stupid. I worked with a lot of idiots. Like, the list goes on and on and on. But I don't think a lot of narcissists even have a rock bottom. Maybe you've been with a narcissist, or maybe you've been with an abuser, and you've seen this firsthand. You've seen them go through a crazy amount of shit, and you get to the place and you're like your lies don't even make sense anymore. Like, I see where you're going. I see who you're hanging out with. Like, why do you think you can keep pulling this past me? And it becomes ridiculous of sometimes when you get awareness of how foolish they're acting, how foolish they're coming across. Well, that's because at that moment, there's an aspect of almost rock bottom, so it has to change. Well, I'm the victim here. Like, I have to lie because I'm worried that you're going to get upset. Like, I have to lie because you would go through my phone and I didn't want you to see that or get hurt. Like, I have to lie to be able to protect, and it goes on and on and on. But the point is, a narcissist will get to the place that most people would term as rock bottom, and most people would want to change, but that doesn't happen with the narcissist, now does it? If this has been a situation that you've dealt with, please leave a message in the comments. Why? Because I need you to show other people that they're not alone. There's people every single day that I talk to that they think, is this normal? And I have to look at them and I have to say, like, yeah, your situation is actually really normal with working with a narcissist. I have to look at someone and say, like, hey, this is not out of the norm for a narcissistic abusive relationship. Like, this happens daily, hourly. This happens. And there's people out here that are struggling, that don't know what narcissism is, that don't know the effects of it, the abuse of it, and need to be made aware. And that's why I'm on this channel, to bring awareness, growth, healing, and change. That's why I'm on here. And I hope to try to spread this message to more and more people, because more people need to hear and need to see what's actually going on in these relationships, so that they can understand and so they can take charge of their self-worth, of their confidence, and make sure that they are on the path of healing, growth, and change. And they have to be able to do that apart from this narcissistic person. If you want to talk about it, I'd love to talk with you. There's a link right down below, or you can go to my website, Raw Motivations, and schedule a one-on-one. And we sit down and we kind of talk through where you're at now, where you want to go. If you're out of the relationship, where your head is. Like, is it still getting drawn back to that narcissist? Is it still getting in a trauma bond where you want to be with your abuser? You want to go back to that person that you know is toxic for you, but you're not sure how to break out of it. Click the link below and let's grab a time to talk. If you guys haven't been a part of the NARC app, Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Community, then please, there's a link down below as well to go visit the NARC app. Download it, check it out. We've got stuff on there teaching you about narcissism, about gaslighting, about all these different types of things on the app. But the biggest thing there is there's also a lot of people on there that have been in those relationships or have gotten out of those relationships and are trying to use that platform to help promote healing and change and encourage other people on there. And you could be an awesome light and an awesome encouragement there as well. So please go check that out. So want to also announce this is brand new, and it's on my Beacons link. So my Beacons at rawmotivations.com. And so if you go to there, you can actually see that my wife has started opening up the possibility of being able to meet with people. So she has been through a whole lot of trauma, a whole lot of abuse, and is at the point where she's like, hey, my healing journey, I want to try to help other people to heal. She's not going to come in there and say, like, hey, you need to stay with your narcissist or you need to stay with your abuser. She'll just tell you, like, no, you need to leave. But she'll try to help you focus on how can you work through healing and how can you continue to focus on you to make you a priority. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe to this or follow us on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. Listen on the podcast, either Apple Podcast or Spotify.